The Medford Teachers Association and the school district are taking some time and resting up before the next negotiation.
After 21 hours of negotiating yesterday, a deal was not met and the teachers went on strike at 6 o'clock this morning. Now, the next bargaining session is set for 8 o'clock Saturday morning. A limited number of bargainers will be there. Teachers say many of them have administrative responsibilities and have to help prepare for what happens next. At this point, parents can plan for classes to be canceled on Monday, even if a deal is struck this weekend. Now, schools are expected to resume on Tuesday with or without union teachers. Now, both sides say there are some key sticking points preventing them from coming to a deal.
Those include retirement benefits, salary, and health insurance, to name a few. The MEA claims the district is not willing to compromise, but the district says they are.
Tonight, we have a chance to hear more details from both sides in that negotiating team. Superintendent Dr. Phil Long and Medford Education Association President Cheryl Lashley are both with us now. As for their request, we'll be asking questions separately. And since we talked to Dr. Long at our 5 o'clock newscast, we're going to start tonight with Cheryl Lashley. Thanks very much for being with us. You say right now that there are some sticky points about retirement and health benefits. Does the union recognize the package that you're requesting is significantly better that people can get in their jobs in the private sector? And how does that weigh in your negotiation if it does?
We are, yes. Okay, yes. I understand that the private sector is different and everyone deserves to have living wages and they deserve to have health care benefits. And what we are asking for from the district, especially in that first year, is something the district can afford. What we offered to them last night to avert this strike was a 1-year deal. We would be in our classrooms with our kids if they would have taken that. It was their deal and we went with it for a 1-year contract and they rejected it.
Of course, we heard from the district that the reason they rejected that is hopes of avoiding being right back in this position in the near future. Can you talk to us about why the teachers would like to see a 1 to 2-year contract instead of the 3-year that the district has proposed?
Because we have not agreed to their 1 or their 2. We had, again, put a 1-year contract on the table to keep our kids in our classrooms with their regular classroom teachers, the ones that they know and have a relationship with. And the district rejected that offer. And on their 3-year offer, how can we take a 3-year offer when year 1 and year 2 of their offer is something that continues to break down our foundation? We're not going to put additions on without a good, strong foundation for our teachers at this point right now.
Ms. Lashley, I know at the beginning of all these negotiations, the union's position was they had made concessions during the recession to help the district through some tough times. Do you think, in your opinion, the deal that you're seeing now fulfills those, bringing those back to where you needed to be? And if so, if not, where do you think you still need to have those promises fulfilled?
No, it does not. We did get days back. The district did reinstate the days for this calendar year, and we are being paid for those days. But there was not a cost of living in that until they came back with reducing from 192 days down to 190. And on the promises made, yes, in our last contract negotiations, 2011 to 2013, the district was in dire straits. We agreed to that. We took responsibility of that. Our teachers took the brunt of that on their backs with the promise from the district in a written document agreement that when money's returned, that would be returned to us, and that is not what has happened. And that's why this whole rebuild the trust piece began our negotiations last March.
So when we talk about those promises that were made to you during the last negotiation cycle, how does the changing of some school board members impact whether that would still hold true today?
The school board member that signed that document was their chair at that time, and so whether or not they change people within their membership is not something that we should have to worry about from contract to contract. The teachers are here for the duration. This is our livelihood. This is our career. We are not elected to these positions and then serve our time and then go on. We have teachers who have been here past 30 years, and they deserve to have the recognition, the respect, and the dignity given to them to have a fair contract.
Okay, we really appreciate your time. Cheryl Lashley, the Medford Education Association president, we do appreciate your time this evening. We turn now to Medford School Superintendent Phil Long. He joins us live from the district headquarters in downtown Medford. And Dr. Long, if you can hear us, we want to begin by asking you about the cost. We hear the teachers kind of criticizing the expense that's being put out there on behalf of the district. How much is a strike at this point costing you all, especially in terms of security and bringing in those substitutes?
You know, the challenge for us is we don't call a strike, we don't fund a strike, we fund a response to a strike. And in that, there's planning we have to do. We're looking at costs around security that are going probably to go into the tens of thousands if this is a prolonged strike. But the reality is today our teachers were not paid for being at work because they weren't here. And the value of that, of not having our teachers here, the cost of that is right around $280,000 to $300,000. So each day our teachers aren't here, that's money that's not being spent for them to serve kids. That is the resource, in part, that we can fund the things we need to do to respond to the strike.
Well, Dr. Long, I know you said you didn't call the strike, but according to your own words yesterday, the union did offer a deal that would keep teachers in the classroom for a year while negotiation continued. You turned down that idea. If that is in fact the concept of keeping kids in the school the primary source of your motivation on the board side, shouldn't teachers be in the classroom and that one-year deal, at least in the short term, be a good deal for the 12,000 students now whose lives have been basically turned upside down?
Well, the trauma we have is that we need a longer-term contract that allows us to actually stabilize our district. And the union didn't have to call a strike, and we could have gone for a one-year deal even before the strike was called. So I think the dilemma was they were up against the wire. We have a strike deadline, and now recognizing that really is putting pressure on families. We are still committed to a deal. We asked the mediator, she suggested we meet on Sunday. We said, let's meet this Saturday. The association has agreed to do that. We still have an opportunity to get a contract and get our kids back in school next Tuesday with their regular teachers. That would be our preference. But we need a contract that deals with the issues around finances and working conditions, and we're really ready to continue to work towards an agreement.
Now, the school board has been quoted as saying that the offer you have proposed to teachers would make them the highest paid in Jackson County. Can you kind of compare what some other districts are making and what offer you have put as far as salaries are concerned?
Well, I think actually the statement is the highest compensated because we have about the richest benefit package of any district in Southern Oregon. So when you put the insurance, the early retirement benefit, and those components alongside our salary, we currently are paying about $101,000 on average per teacher in salary and benefits. That is the highest in Jackson County. It goes down from there for other districts.
I know the teachers union at the beginning of the negotiation, as you may have heard Cheryl Lashley say, were promised certain things and we're hoping those would come back in this contract. Are you in good conscience clear with the fact that those promises have been fulfilled, and do you think you're going above that with the contract plan that you have in place now?
Actually, we have fulfilled those promises in the current contract that we implemented in December. But in fact, the promises are between two parties, and both parties need to keep the promise. The promise was if we had more money, we would add days. We did that last year when we had more money. But the other part of the promise that isn't being addressed was the one that if we could not settle a contract by June 30th of last year, this year would have 186 days until we had a successor agreement. So we actually would have been breaking our contract to add more days, and we keep our word. That's one of the things we must do if we're going to have consistency and people to be able to count on when we make an offer to someone for a job, they know we're going to keep them here. So we have fulfilled our promise on that. We're looking to get a ratifiable contract so both parties can make a new promise for 3 years.
We recently heard that because of the snow days from December, school has been extended for about a week into June. Will these strike days impact the end date for this school year?
Well, ironically, part of us going ahead and fulfilling that promise, even though we didn't have a successor contract, is that the school board added a week of school to make up the 3 snow days and to add additional instructional days. So in fact, if we hit these days that we're off the next couple, we're going to make up 2 of them for sure. We have always been focused on having enough instructional time for kids, so we're going to be a standard district when we get to the end of the year, even if we're closed for the next 2 days.
Well, let's hope we can get all of this resolved quickly. Dr. Phil Long from the Medford School District, thank you for being with us, and Cheryl Lashley from the MEA. We appreciate you both making time for us in what's been a very emotional and contentious time so far.
And of course, we will be putting this entire interview on our website, kdrv.com, just a little bit later this evening if you want to review it or share it with friends and family.